हेलो ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट तो कमी करते हैं ओके कोई now better कमी करो hello online students can you hear me students online is it audible खाली है
So it's very low. Your voice is very low.
okay एक करो max करो okay now is it better
Yes, sir.
yes okay ठीक है लांब ठेवलं पाहिजे okay चालेल so let's see what we did last time okay so we did tax right last class mein there was this tax case which we solved and we had a look at MAT and corporate tax, then carry forward of tax, all of that, correct. And then there was some, yeah, students online, is it audible? Can you hear me? Students online, is it audible?
So again, it's very low.
Achha, it is because of that, is it? Oh, okay. Now better? It is better now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So, so I think there was some homework. Did anyone try? We did this WDV schedule, and there was this tax case or tax schedule to be built for the same case. So the idea was for us to see the impact of it. FSA, the seventh file, in that seventh file, we had to replicate all the tax calculations. Anybody has tried that? Online students, anyone has tried? No? Okay. So what we will do, okay, just to save some time, I will quickly build this tax schedule, okay, in here. I will quickly build the tax schedule, and the idea would be for us to understand the impact on IR. Okay, and then we will start with a different case where you will be doing the tax schedule again. Okay, so rather than you trying the tax schedule here and then again doing it in the eighth case, might as well. Let me show it. The idea is for us to understand the impact. Okay, so I'll quickly complete the calculations here. Now, the case was a manufacturing case where we said first 3 years is going to be development of the factory. Then fourth year onwards, we will be operating the factory. So first thing that we did was we found out the development schedule. Okay. The idea of development schedule was to estimate soft cost. Okay, the interest during construction or the cost that you incur while you develop a facility. So that is what we did first in this. And then we did build the remaining case very similar to the travel agency model, where we first had the assumptions, then the income statement, and the balance sheet, cash flow, and we made an estimate of cash flow, HCFE, and ultimately IRR. Okay, so it was as per our scheme. Now, additional to this, what we want to do is we want to put in a tax schedule here. Okay, And this tax schedule is going to provide some input, one to the balance sheet and the other to the cash flow. Income statement will get an indirect impact. This is how my scheme is going to change. Okay. So this will be the scheme which we'll be using for the next case, which is going to be a larger case, 7, 8 pages we will go on reading. So create a complete project financing model. Now you want to incorporate the tax understanding in this. Okay, so in this model, we till now we have kept tax very simple. We say if there is a profit, then we'll pay tax, else we'll not pay tax. But this is as per the Companies Act, and last time we discussed that IT Act has a different perspective towards how much amount of tax we should pay, and all that perspective was what we built in this case. So what we did here was based on the PBT, we tried to compute what is the taxable profit as per the income tax department on which you will actually have to pay the tax. And in case there is a loss, you will carry forward the loss for the next few years. Then you will set it off in the forward year. Then if then we'll also compute the MAT, and then basis the corporate tax and MAT, we'll figure out how much tax to pay. Any excess MAT paid is like an advance that you have paid to the government. So you will be setting off the advance in the forward year, okay, which is called as MAT credit and set off. And all of that will ultimately give you the actual amount of tax year by year that you should pay to the IT department based on all the transactions. But you are not showing that expense in your income statement because income statement is made as per Companies Act. And the difference was creating a deferred tax liability, or it can create a deferred tax asset, but most of the times it will end up creating a liability. Why is there a difference and what is the benefit somebody gets because of this difference is what we want to understand today. Okay. So you'll get the DTL, and obviously that one entry will go back in the balance sheet because it's a liability. DTL तो liability है, तो वो balance sheet में जाएगा. But एक entry से काम होगा नहीं, you'll have to make a double entry. So the change will be reflected in the cash flow. So this goes in the cash flow, and this goes in the balance sheet. That is what I am trying to show here in the line diagram. DTL goes in the balance sheet and change in DTL goes in the cash flow, and IRR will. Now whether the IRR increases or decreases is what we want to figure out. Okay. So now we already have this case which is built without the tax consideration. So here it is presumed that expense is paid. That means Company Act में जो खर्चा दिखा रहे हैं उतना ही टैक्स हम भर रहे हैं, ऐसा अभी मॉडल में assumption है. That's how we have made the model. So let us change that. Let's make the entire schedule. Now the only reason, again we are taking a very simple approach. We are saying that the only reason why Income Tax and Companies Act both will differ is because of the depreciation technique or depreciation policy followed. So here we are saying WDV follow कर रहा है IT और Company Act follow कर रहा है straight line. So in the balance sheet you will see that in straight line value of asset has become nil. So if I plot a chart of this, you will see the value is going down in a straight line. So asset value goes down in a straight line. That's why it's called a straight line depreciation. So ये Company Act बोल रहा है, so that it is easy for the user to read the income statement. But now IT is saying use WDV. So whereas Company Act was saying 7 lakh you depreciate every year, IT is showing you depreciate by 17 in the first year, which is also another way of saying accelerated depreciation. That means you claim the expenses earlier in the life of the asset. Ultimately, the value of asset is going to become nil. Whether it is IT Act or Company Act, doesn't matter. Okay. So now what we want to do is, first thing we want to reconcile Company Act profit to IT Act profit. Okay. So don't put the formula, just observe. Okay. Those who are not there last time, just try to understand what we are trying to do. Those who are there, this is just a revision. Goal is to figure out IRR पे क्या impact आता है. क्योंकि वो उस केस में हम देख नहीं पा रहे थे क्योंकि वो इंडिपेंडेंट केस था। तो इस केस में देख लेते हैं। तो वी स्टार्ट विथ पीबीटी, टेक द पीबीटी दैट वी हैव ऑलरेडी कैलकुलेटेड, and will also take the straight line depreciation from the income statement. So both I have taken from the income statement. So if you add this straight line depreciation to the PBT, you will end up getting PBDT. And we are saying that Company Act and IT Act at the PBDT level are same. और कोई लाइन आइटम में ओपिनियन डिफरेंस नहीं है, प्रिजम्पशन रियलिटी में होगा, ओके, बट फॉर सिंप्लिसिटी पर्पज डेप्रिसिएशन में नक्की हो। वी वांट टू जस्ट सी के एग्जैक्ट इम्पैक्ट क्या है। सो माय पीबीडीटी इज पीबीटी प्लस स्ट्रेट लाइन डेप्रिसिएशन, and if my PBDT is same for IT, then I subtract IT depreciation from this, I end up getting the taxability. So you are in a loss. Again the same, because IT depreciation has accelerated the depreciation at the rate of 60%. Therefore, so much is the depreciation that you are going in a loss at the PBDT, after the PBDT. PBDT minus depreciation is loss. So ये loss अब आपका carry forward होना पड़ेगा, okay? So this is how we carried forward the loss. Carry forward loss is a cumulative concept. So we will start with opening balance, same as previous closing. Whatever is your carry forward loss for the last year, वो इस last year का ending, इस year का आपका beginning हो गया. Then we said okay, if there is a loss, अगर इस साल में loss हुआ है, तो उसको carry forward करते हैं. That is my addition to the loss. No need to write the formula. I am sharing this file at the end, and you will be writing this formula again in the next case. Okay. So I am going a little quick so that you will be able to revise, and we get enough time for the next case. So what we are saying here is कि loss हुआ है क्या इस year में? अगर हुआ है तो उसको carry forward करो. Correct. नहीं हुआ है loss तो nothing to carry forward. Now set off. When will set off happen? It has to be a profitable year. मतलब इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के हिसाब से आपको प्रॉफिट होना है. So in this case there is no profit, so there is no set off. But imagine if there had been a profit, then we would have said, okay, I will take a set off to the extent of the profit at hand. जितना इस ईयर में प्रॉफिट है उतना शायद हम सेट ऑफ ले ले, या फिर जितना हमारे पास ओपनिंग कैरी फॉरवर्ड लॉस है. So in a given year you might have some losses. Say let's say 100 rupees is the loss you are carrying forward from the past, and you have 200 rupees profit. So you cannot adjust 200 rupee profit because उतना आपके पास carry forward loss है ही नहीं, 100 का ही loss है. So we are comparing in absolute terms without the sign the profit and the carried forward loss. और उसका absolute करना है इसलिए मैंने ABS डाला है, so that ये loss का number जो है उसका sign drop हो जाए. If you don't have a profit, there is nothing to be set off in a given year, and therefore ending balance will be add on. Now ideally the formula should be opening plus addition minus set off, but signs are opposite. Opening and addition is a loss, so it's going to carry a minus sign, and set off is a positive number, so they will, as it is, even if you add them they will subtract. If you add them they will subtract. Then you have, if you just check if there is a profit, then whatever is the profit minus the amount that you took as a set off, okay, that is the amount on which you will end up paying the tax at the 30% rate. So my total tax to be paid as per the corporate tax method over the life of the asset is 29 lakh. Project के life में आपको 29 lakh rupees भरने हैं. Okay, but how are you going to pay it? So nothing in the first year, 490 in the second, 970 in the third, and 1450 in the fourth. This is as per the corporate tax regime. Okay, तो इसमें क्या हो गया, अभी आप कुछ भी नंबर ऊपर चेंज करो, अकॉर्डिंगली वो कैरी फॉरवर्ड लॉस एडजस्ट हो गया, आपका फाइनल पेमेंट हो जाएगा. ठीक है, या 132. हियर वी आर जस्ट सेइंग के जो भी टैक्सेबल इनकम है उस पर आपको टैक्स भरना पड़ेगा, लेकिन किसी ईयर में सेट ऑफ होगा तो टैक्सेबल इनकम माइनस सेट ऑफ, जो बचा अमाउंट है बैलेंस पे आप टैक्स और फर्स्ट आई विल हैव टू चेक कि पॉजिटिव है क्या, करेक्ट, अदरवाइज इट विल स्टार्ट शोइंग माइनस इन द टैक्स. You can keep the if condition for the next row also. नेक्स्ट रो में भी कर सकते हैं कि इफ ऊपर का नंबर करें तो 29 lakhs. अगेन वी कैन चेक दिस हाउ. इफ यू गो बैक एंड सी द टैक्स एक्सपेंस, ये चारों का एडिशन भी सेम होगा 29,16,048. करेक्ट, बिकॉज डिप्रिसिएशन इज फुली कंसिडर्ड इन बोथ द केसेस, आईटी में भी और स्ट्रेट लाइन में, दोनों में एसेट हमने फुली डिप्रिशिएट किया है. तो टैक्स का अमाउंट चेंज नहीं होगा, लेकिन टाइमिंग अलग है. Whereas this method was saying कि 2,82,000 फर्स्ट ईयर में खर्चा है, लेकिन भरना तो है ही नहीं, भरना तो जीरो है. दैट इज व्हाट इनकम टैक्स इज. ठीक है, बट दिस इज नॉट द फाइनल मेथड. एज यू नो, देयर वाज समथिंग दैट कंपनीज डिड टू evade taxes, and therefore we now have MAT. Sorry, first tax expense, the same number that we did above. We can put a if condition here also if there is a profit there. Now that we know there is a profit for all, keep it as it is. Okay. So you will see that expense and table. I just keep this numbers together. ये आपका टैक्स पे करना है और ये आपका एक्सपेंस है. ओके, खर्चा जो आप दिखाएंगे. But you also have to use the second way of calculating tax, which is MAT, and MAT is to be calculated on PBT. So what was the rule? Minimum alternate tax. So IT के हिसाब से what is the definition? अगर आप अपने इन्वेस्टर को प्रॉफिट दिखा रहे हैं तो कम से कम मिनिमम you have to pay this alternate tax. And this is an alternate method of taxation. The ideal taxation method is corporate tax. इनकम टैक्स के हिसाब से टैक्स आपको इस हिसाब से ही भरना था, बट कंपनीज प्लेड फाउल, दे ट्राइड टू गेम द रूल. So MAT was introduced. MAT introduction resulted in excessive taxation. How much to pay? So you find both. Now the rule is आप जो है दोनों तरीके से टैक्स निकालो और हायर ऑफ द टू पे. So if I end up paying higher of the two, I end up paying 31 lakhs to the IT, whereas I am supposed to pay only 29 lakhs. So 2 lakhs का excess payment हो रहा है. Okay, क्योंकि आपने higher का rule लगा दिया है IT department. So the idea was not to collect more tax. The idea was only to ensure compliance. So what they did was they created a MAT credit and set-off mechanism. The credit set-off mechanism is trying to do the same thing as carry forward loss rate. Whatever excess you have paid, that you should be able to take a rebate of, but without changing the basic definitions of taxation. So this is what the carry forward was. Again, it was a cumulative calculation. आज तक कितना carry forward किया है? So beginning will always be same as previous ending. So opening credits. Now, whenever you pay excess MAT over corporate tax, you end up getting credit. Again, let me explain. First year में MAT कितना देना पड़ रहा है? 1,88,000 और कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स देना था 0. तो रूल के वजह से आपको भरना पड़ रहा है 1,88,000. करेक्ट, हायर ऑफ द टू टू बी पेड. So 188 minus 0 is the excess that you have paid. That is 1,88,000 only. Second year में 335. तो second year में excess है ही नहीं यहाँ पे. Okay. Now imagine if this number had been say 2 lakh. Let's say. So MAT was 3,35,000 and corporate tax was 2 lakh. So 1,35,000 का excess हो जाता. Okay. तो excess जो आप भर रहे हैं वो आपको एडवांस की तरह ट्रीट करना है. इट्स लाइक यू एंडेड अप पेइंग एन एडवांस टैक्स टू दैट. यू आर नॉट सपोज्ड टू पे दैट मच, बट बिकॉज ऑफ द अदर रूल्स यू पेड इट, एंड देयरफॉर आईटी विल कंसीडर इट एज इफ यू पेड एन एडवांस, एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट यू कैन एडजस्ट इन द फ्यूचर जब आपको जास्ती भरना होगा. जैसे यहाँ पे आपने 1 लाख एक्सेस भर दिया है और अगले साल आपको ये 490 भरना है, whereas this is just 335. So here you can adjust that previous advance that you paid. So every time addition to carry forward, sorry, addition to MAT credits will be if amount of MAT is more than corporate tax. Then there is some excess probably that you paid. Whatever is the excess is the credit you paid. Here it is. If MAT is more than corporate tax, then MAT minus corporate tax is the excess you are paying. And this therefore becomes a carry forward credit. कि आज तक आपने इतना excess भरा है. That is the acknowledgement IT is giving by saying it as credit. And opening plus credits minus setup. Whatever credits you adjusted will get subtracted from the cumulative balance you are carrying. Will be closing. This is how it will look like. And payable tax minus set off will be net payable. Now the goal is to take this number down to how much? हाँ, but ये number कितना हो जाना चाहिए फिर? This is summation of all net tax payable. Should be equal to, correct, either corporate tax or tax expense. मतलब ये 29,16,000 जितना हो जाना चाहिए. आपको इतना ही भरना है ना एंड में. ये तो सब कैलकुलेशन का पार्ट है. कभी कम कभी ज्यादा आगे पीछे करके फाइनली when the life of the asset is getting over, you should end up paying only so much liability as is said, which is 30% of all the profit you make. So now set off will happen when किसका set off हो रहा है? MAT का. So corporate tax should be more than MAT. When reverse is the case, MAT जब corporate tax से बड़ा है, तो you are getting credits. वो हमने ऊपर की लाइन में बना दिया. If reverse is the case, you will get set off. How much set off? Again, that depends upon what is your credits available, कितना एडवांस आपने पे किया हुआ है, and the difference between corporate tax and MAT. कितना जास्ती भरना पड़ रहा है corporate tax over MAT, उतने का आप क्रेडिट क्लेम कर सकते हैं. Else zero. So what happens is that this 188 excess which we had paid will get adjusted in the next 2 years as 154 in year number 5, which is second year of operation. But 154 is nothing but difference between these. Tax payable basically is corporate tax in that year. So 154 corporate tax higher है MAT से. तो और आपके पास 188 के क्रेडिट है. So you can adjust entire of 154 in that. Next year you are paying corporate tax which is 4 lakhs higher. But credit ही नहीं, 34,000 का ही क्रेडिट है, तो खाली उतने का ही सेट आउट है. और बाकी जो डिफरेंस है 4 करेक्ट माइनस 34 जो भी है वो आपको सॉरी 9 minus 34 वो आपको पे करना. Okay, so 9 lakhs is your tax liability in that year minus this 34, 970 minus 935 around 147. Yes, that would be here. If we are saying corporate tax is more than MAT, then your past credits can be adjusted because आप एडवांस भर के रखा हुआ है. तो यहाँ इस ईयर में क्या बोल रहा है कि आपको 971 की टैक्स लाइबिलिटी है, 9,71,000, बट ऑलरेडी 34,000 का एडवांस देके रखा हुआ है. तो फिर आप 934 पे करो. 971 माइनस 34,000 नेट टैक्स पेबल में डायरेक्ट कैलकुलेट. तो एंड में क्या हो गया, योर टैक्स पेबल becomes exactly same as either your tax expense or corporate tax. ये दोनों तो सेम ही है, एंड दैट्स हाउ, बट देयर इज अ टाइमिंग डिफरेंस. तो आपका खर्चा है इतना और आपने पैसा भरा इतना. तो फर्स्ट ईयर में you've shown an expense of 2,82,000 towards taxation. Expense shown but not paid. डिफरेंस जो है 94,000 आपने पे नहीं किया है बट खर्चा तो दिखा दिया है, विच मीन्स यू विल बी पेइंग लेटर. देना बाकी है, लाइबिलिटी. लाइबिलिटी ड्यू टू टैक्स एंड देयरफॉर वी कॉल इट एज टैक्स लाइबिलिटी. यू विल बी पेइंग इट लेटर. आप पे करेंगे ये, लेकिन कब करेंगे? बाद में करेंगे. So if I copy this formula, you will see in the later years you are paying that liability. जो देना बाकी था वो आप दे रहे हो, तो डिफर्ड. आज नहीं दे रहे, बाद में दे रहे. Therefore, deferred tax liability gets created, and because it's a balance sheet number, you will see that it is cumulative. Okay. Now, what has to happen? मतलब ये सारा मेहनत किया क्यों है? Because this has to go back into my model. This is still a separate calculation as of now. So, if you go back to the model, you will see there is a DTL line item in the balance sheet, deferred tax liability. You have already calculated that, you can link it back. And then there is a change in DTL because it's a liability, you can do new minus old. You can do new minus old, or you can take the change from below, from the schedule. But before we do that, let's copy and paste our IRR number. Without considering the tax schedule, my IRR is 39.94. अब हम इसको लिंक बैक करते हैं. First of all, right now the balance sheet is balancing. Let's take the DTL from the last row. So you can see that the balance sheet has mismatched. That is because only one entry has been made. So one way of adjusting that is by putting a change entry. As I said, you can link it from here or you can take it from below. I will take it from here. Let's say liability है, तो liability के लिए rule है new minus old. And the sum formula also needs to be adjusted so that the change in DTL also is accounted for. Balance sheet balance. Let's see what has happened to IRR. IRR increased. Why? That was the entire idea, right? पूरा शेड्यूल करने का आइडिया ये था कि आईआरआर पे क्या इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है और वो हमारे लिए बेनिफिशियल है क्या. अभी तो बेनिफिशियल दिख रहा है. लेट्स रीजन इट आउट. क्यों? So the reason lies here. So when we did this model at the start, 2,83,000 was expense, and when you had not done the tax schedule, the model was assuming कि उतना पैसा आपका गया. मतलब जो खर्चा दिखा रहे और जो पैसा भर रहे वो सेम हो गया था. करेक्ट. दैट इज व्हाट मॉडल वाज assuming. So presume you not done the tax schedule. Let us say हमने tax schedule बनाया नहीं है. Earlier part. But then they can't hear. Here से यहाँ से कंप्यूटर से ऑफ व्हाट माइक स्पीकर ये है. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स कैन यू हियर मी? Students online, is it audible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, online students, is it audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can we mute this? No, if they say something, then there will be problem. Is it? तो बढ़ाएं अभी. Let me keep a little lower on this. ठीक है. So again, we'll come back to explaining this to ourselves. Okay. Now, when we had not done the tax schedule, जब हमने नहीं बनाया था tax schedule, so whatever was expense was paid, right? Tax में जो खर्चा दिखा है वो पे हो रहा है. क्योंकि पीबीटी से ये गया और इतना पीएटी है जो आपके कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में गया। तो कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट क्या बोल रहा है, इतना कैश है आपके पास। नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विद डीटीएल, okay, or earlier this was what was the amount of cash the business is generating in given year. This is what the model was trying to say, and therefore accordingly we had a 39.9% IRR. Now with the introduction of tax schedule, what has happened? There is this acceleration of depreciation. Means what के खर्चा एक्सेलरेट मतलब जल्दी कर लिया आपने, डेप्रिसिएशन का एक्सेल, उससे क्या हो गया, प्रॉफिट कम हो गया। करेक्ट, कब कम हो गया, पहले ईयर। इनिशियली द प्रॉफिट वेंट डाउन, लेटर द प्रॉफिट वाज हायर बिकॉज डेप्रिसिएशन एक्सपेंस कम हो गया। So because of that the tax to be paid is less, whereas earlier it was 2,83,000 in the first year, now it is 1,88,000, बराबर। तो बीच में जो डिफरेंस है 94,000 रुपीज का, वो हम कह रहे हैं कि डेफर्ड टैक्स लायबिलिटी बन गई, बट टेक्निकली दैट मनी इज विथ यू। करेक्ट, पैसा तो आपके पास है, यू गॉट दैट कैश। So what did you do with that surplus cash? आपने टैक्स कम भरना है, तो जो बचा पैसा है 94,000 उसका क्या किया, तो आपने री इन्वेस्ट किया होगा। We have assumed already in the model that any surplus will be reinvested and interest income will be generated at the rate of 5%. तो सेम वे हम ये भी इमेजिन करते हैं कि ये जो हमारा टैक्स बच गया 94,000 का, और लेट मी शो इट इन अ क्यूमुलेटिव मैनर, ये 94,000 का जो टैक्स बच गया है उस पे हमने 5% इंटरेस्ट जनरेट कर लिया, तो एंडिंग बैलेंस हमारा हो गया 99,000। करेक्ट, ईयर के एंड जो सरप्लस है वो हमने एफडी कर ली और एफडी का इंटरेस्ट भी आ गया। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस नेक्स्ट ईयर, नेक्स्ट ईयर इस 99 में 168 और ऐड हो गए, क्योंकि कंपनी एक्ट के हिसाब से टैक्स हो रहा था 5,06,000, मीन्स पहले मॉडल कंसिडर कर रहा था 5,06,000 आपका गया। अब आईटी के हिसाब से तो 493 भरना है, सॉरी 337, मतलब सेट ऑफ सब करके 337 भरना है। तो 506 और 337 में डिफरेंस है 168, तो इतना आपने कैश रह गई आपके पास। तो दिस 168 प्लस दिस 99 ऑफ अर्लियर ईयर विच मीन्स 268 पे आपने एफडी कर लिया अगले साल, तो 13,000 वापस उस पर इंटरेस्ट इनकम आ गया, उसका एंडिंग बैलेंस हो गया 281। तो इस तरह से इफ आई कंटिन्यू टिल द लास्ट ईयर, और लास्ट ईयर की एफडी छोड़ देते हैं क्योंकि ये सारा 1 ईयर डिफर्ड चलेगा, so this you will have money at the end of the first year and therefore you will get this interest at the end of the second year, like that. So leave that nitty-gritty, but what has happened is this was the tax saving in the first 2 years. The saving is amounting to 2,63,000, and this was the excess that you have to pay, which is also 2,63,000. तो टैक्स में आपने कुछ बचाया नहीं, लेकिन टाइमिंग चेंज किया आपने, उसकी वजह से टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी का जो बेनिफिट हुआ 27,000 रुपये, वो आपका करेक्ट इंटरेस्ट में आपको बेनिफिट हो गया, एंड आईटी डिपार्टमेंट डजंट माइंड लूजिंग दैट इंटरेस्ट, एंड एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दिस 27,000 सरप्लस कैश व्हिच हैज गॉट जनरेटेड, इट हैज बम्प्ड अप द आईआरआर बाय 2%, उसका वजह से आईआरआर 2% से बढ़ गया। ओके, सो दैट इज द एंटायर आइडिया व्हिच विल ऑलवेज हैपन टू एवरी प्रोजेक्ट। हर प्रोजेक्ट में ये होगा, क्यों, क्योंकि IT is allowing accelerated, and the reason why IT is allowing accelerated depreciation is because of this. This results in every project IRR increasing marginally. उससे क्या हो रहा है, lot of projects which probably are on the borderline will all become feasible and IT will get more revenue. अगर प्रोजेक्ट लगा तो टैक्स रेवेन्यू मिलेगा, प्रोजेक्ट अगर नहीं लगा, if you don't put up a project, there is no question of profit, no question of paying any time. So IT doesn't mind paying that time value of money to you, okay, but by giving this minor benefit, lot of projects will become feasible and IT will get more tax revenue. Okay, that is the concept, and not just in India, Across the world, every IT department follows accelerated depreciation. It is given, IT department publish करता है वो. You on the internet you search IT depreciation rate, you will get a 20-page PDF. उसमें हर टाइप के बिजनेस का हर टाइप के इक्विपमेंट का 1 शिफ्ट 2 शिफ्ट 3 शिफ्ट ऑपरेशन का डेप्रिसिएशन रेट डिफाइन. इट्स ऑल रिजिड. आईटी मतलब वो कोशिश ये करता है कि डिस्क्रिशन नहीं रहे. ओके, सो दैट मतलब टैक्स कंप्लायंस इज देयर. यू कैन सर्च फॉर द सेम. कंपनी एक्ट का भी रेट पब्लिकली अवेलेबल. 20 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट आपको दोनों का मिल जाएगा, है ना, उसके भी रेट. अच्छा, न्यू में ओके. हाँ, यूजफुल लाइफ दिया हुआ है, ठीक है, तो आप वो 1/लाइफ करके रेट ले लो, बट मैनेजमेंट डिस्क्रिशन है मतलब. मैक्सिमम 10. करेक्ट करेक्ट. तो एवरीबडी विल डेप्रिशिएट इट जस्ट फॉर 3 इयर्स. उसमें लोअर लिमिट भी होगा ना कि नहीं है? तो मैं तो 3 साल में डेप्रिशिएट कर दूं और फिर कैश में बेच देंगे. बट खैर उससे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा ना, क्योंकि ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट इज फॉर टैक्स नॉट कंपनीज एक्ट. करेक्ट. कंपनीज एक्ट में दिखा के भी क्या ही इतना फायदा हो नहीं रहा है. In fact, you will show less depreciation in Company Act so that you can show more profit. That exactly. Profit बढ़ाना है आपको. तो वो conflicting है. So Company Act then it is easier. So this will always happen to every project, and it is the time value of money benefit, okay, which passes on to the project, okay, which gives a slightly better IRR number, okay. Yes. Better compliance in the sense due to MAT, you are saying? No. हाँ, MAT का तो है. इनफैक्ट मैट नहीं होता तो हमें ज्यादा बेनिफिट मिलता है. तो इफ आई से फॉर एग्जांपल चेंज दिस मैट रेट टू 0, प्रिज्यूमिंग दैट मैट निकाल दिया सरकार ने, तो ये 42.7 होता. 2% और बढ़ गया. मतलब पहले ये बेनिफिट ज्यादा था, लेकिन वो सब गिमिकरी होने की वजह से अब वो बेनिफिट थोड़ा सा एवरेज आउट हो गया है. तो दिस इज सिग्निफिकेंट चेंज. ऑलमोस्ट 43% से IRR बढ़ रहा था, अब मैट आने की वजह से थोड़ा सा वो बेनिफिट आपका मार्जिनली कम हो गया है, 1% से. फिर भी मिल रहा है आपको. And across the world this benefit is being given. Every country's IT rate is always on the accelerated depreciation. In fact, some of the sectors government further incentivizes by describing the accelerated depreciation rate, like 60% आप कर लो. जैसे wind solar जब feasible नहीं थे, उनको AD ज़्यादा देके रखा था government. So this is one way by which they incentivize. This also give incentive to certain sectors if required. ठीक है. तो फाइनली हमारा प्रोजेक्ट रिटर्न्स आर एट 41%, एंड नाउ वी हैव more or less completed all the moving parts of a long project financing case. Yeah. Carry forward is 10 years, but when will they phase it out? May not remain for eternity, but government has not taken any or not given, I presume it has not given any limit as to when they will end. But generally over a life of 25 years for say a highway project or power plant, you end up getting 10-year tax holiday and 3-4 years of loss because of accelerated depreciation. So around 14 odd years you end up paying only MAT, and another 6-7 years you end up recovering the credits. So almost 25 साल के प्रोजेक्ट में 20 साल तक आप ऑलमोस्ट मैट रेट पे ही टैक्स भरते रहते हैं, स्पेशली फॉर प्रोजेक्ट्स व्हिच आर हैविंग टैक्स हॉलिडे. So whenever we say that government or IT is giving a tax holiday to a project, doesn't mean आपको कुछ टैक्स नहीं भरना है, आपको फिर भी मैट भरना ही है. Okay, or IT companies which were in a tax holiday for a long period of time, they were all paying MAT. Okay, so for several years they were just setting off the MAT credit. Now I think that also is gone because the tax holiday period has ended. I think way earlier now. 10-12 साल हो गए. 15 years was some STPI benefit that I think IT was giving to that. ठीक है. So what we want to do next, okay, is we want to build a full case to evaluate whether setting up a sugar factory is a feasible business proposition or not. Okay. Now you know how to make a project model. This is the scheme. Step 1 क्या है? आपको पहले पहले निकालना है कि टोटल प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट कितनी है. What will always be given to you? The hard cost. लैंड, लोकेशन, बिल्डिंग, इसका क्या कीमत है वो दिया रहेगा, लेकिन फाइनेंसिंग के वजह से जो कॉस्ट आएगी वो आपको एस्टिमेट करनी है, विच इज व्हाट वी डिड इन डेवलपमेंट. So first thing will be analyze the development part. Next would be to look at drivers. What generates revenue for me? What are my costs? So in the next case that we are going to start now, sales and cost we will be estimating in separate pages because the analysis will be slightly longer now. Here it was relatively easy. I was giving you the sale price and cost price, and then we were saying that okay, multiply sale price, cost price with quantity, and you end up getting sales. But what you will see going forward is this is the basic structure of the model. More of your time will go by analyzing the sector specific. So one we will study which is sugar in this case. Okay, so that will help us make the income statement. Along with that, balance sheet schedules will get made. So the scheme will change here. We will have revenue drivers, cost and schedules, and then we'll have income, balance sheet, cash flow, tax, FCFE, and IRR. Okay. So let me share this file and the sugar case blank file, and then we will take a break maybe for 5 minutes, and then post that we will start with that case. So let me just create the okay. Here I have sent the files to you. Everybody please download all three, and the one that we want is file number 9. Yes. Okay. So let's take the file and we'll try to understand the scheme. And just quickly run you through the scheme, and then we'll probably take a break, and then we will start. Okay. The scheme is just for us to get an idea as to what we want to make here. And this, however, is an elaborate case, so you have so many pages. Here is the scheme, okay, which is what I was trying to rehearse there. And I put down 1, 2, 3 for your reference because I'm going to again guide you, and you will be making this entire model. So what will change in this model is first we will make it across pages. Till now we've been just making it in one page. It's very difficult to navigate a lengthy Excel file to figure out what we have done where, which is a little cumbersome process. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to lay out every calculation on a separate page. So each block shown is a separate page out. So that is the number of pages you see here. IDC, sales, expenses, income, balance sheet, cash flow, tax, and return. Returns is where we'll calculate the FCFE, and we will also present this case to the banker. दोनों को दिखाना है इस बार, इक्विटी पार्टनर को भी और बैंकर को भी. अभी तक we have been only looking at equity perspective, but now we'll also look at the other stakeholder, which is debt person. So step 1 is going to be IDC, which is interest during construction. So we will be estimating soft cost, which primarily means हम वहाँ पे debt schedule बनाएं. Step 2 is where we will build the revenue analysis. Once your factory is set up, then you want to know what is the money factory is going to earn in the form of sales. तो सेल्स में से कितने पैसे आ रहे हैं ये हमें सेकंड पार्ट में फिगर आउट करना. थर्ड पार्ट में वी विल लुक एट कॉस्ट. ये पैसे आने के लिए क्या खर्चे इनकर करने पड़ेंगे. एंड अलॉन्ग विद दैट यू विल आल्सो गेट एन आइडिया ऑफ कि सेल्स अगर हमें करना है तो फैक्ट्री लगानी पड़ेगी, उसके लिए डेट लेना पड़ेगा, इक्विटी लेना पड़ेगा, वर्किंग कैपिटल लगेगा, which means all these are balance sheet line items. So we'll analyze all the balance sheet line items also and we'll call it a schedule. So cost and schedules we will do together. So that now you can see that income statement and balance sheet will become staging pages. इनकम स्टेटमेंट के जो जो लाइन आइटम्स है, लेबल्स है, वो सब हम यहाँ और यहाँ ऑलरेडी एस्टिमेट कर देंगे. तो स्टेटमेंट में खाली लिंक द लाइन आइटम, therefore we'll call them as staging pages. इनकम एंड बैलेंस शीट में सब यहाँ वहां से आ जाएगा, फिर दोनों का डबल एंट्री पे कैश फ्लो बन जाएगा. So before you get there, using the income statement, you will also end up making the tax schedule. Remember, income statement का PBT चाहिए आप for making the tax schedule. Just now we saw that, and then what comes from the tax schedule goes back in the balance sheet and cash. Once you have the cash flow completed, balance sheet match, other income estimated, then you go ahead and find the return. Okay, so this is the entire case. Let's take a break here for 5 minutes. Then I'll explain all the assumptions to you, and you can see that all the assumptions are being dumped on page number 1, and this is typical of a project financing model. Almost always every project financing model, assumptions will be on one page. The entire model will be built out from there. ठीक है, so let's take a break and then post the break I will explain कि ये केस नक्की क्या है, क्या बनाना है, ये we have seen the skeleton, okay, but we want to understand the specifics of it, so I will explain those. Let's break and then let's start again in another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just download the file and Okay, should we start? Everyone? Okay, let's continue. Okay, let me explain. Okay, the case, and then step by step we will try to build the model. So I will run you through the assumptions. Now, whenever you are making a model yourself, okay, the first task for you would be to get all these assumptions. Now, how are you going to do that? So you will need the background of the sector. Okay, so as analysts, whether you are in the credit or equity side of it, your goal is generally to understand the entire sector, what goes in the sector, how things operate, how the sector ends up making money. So here's a brief explanation of it. Okay. The case at hand that we have is sugar factory. So imagine you can have a power plant, a solar factory, solar farm, national highway, airport, cement factory, paper mill, any. Okay, all these are typical requirements in the project financing phase. And the details that we are covering here are fairly elementary. The amount of details that go about in the consulting model is much more, okay, and they are very heavily structured in terms of the project timeline. Okay. Because this is going to run in few hundred crores. So each day's interest calculation is also important. Okay. So that is a significant quantum of money. Therefore, they end up making model with a lot of timeline related complications, okay, which we have ignored here. Okay, and that is why the stripped down version in terms of the formula look very simple. Okay, and at the end of the case, again, I will explain how that is different. So what we are saying here is, if you want to set up a sugar factory, so what exactly comprise of a sugar? So sugar factory is a has sugarcane as the input raw material. We are not making sugarcane. We are going to buy it from farmers in and around. Generally, logistics cost is curtailed by putting the factory in a place where you can source sugarcane from the in and around farm, lot of farm. So sugarcane will come in as a raw material, and what you will do with it is you will crush and process it. But the volume of the product is so large that the definition of the factory is set in TCD, which is tons of sugarcane crushed per day. Okay. So in our case, we are taking the plant capacity as 1000 TCD. एक दिन में 1000 ton sugarcane crush करेगा. Okay, ये factory. So that itself tells you that it's going to be a very large unit. Okay, the crushing and processing unit is fairly huge. It's like a small town, and it will crush and process, and the byproduct, the end result that you will get is sugar. Now, there is a grade. So whenever we are working with commodities, you will always have a grade to the input. It's like when you take iron ore and convert it to iron, you take say 1 ton iron ore, then probably few kgs of iron will get. Similarly, here you take 1 ton of sugarcane and you end up getting 9% sugar from the weight. Out of 1 ton, which is 1000 kgs, 90 kg of sugar will be actually recovered. So that is the grade of sugar. It depends. There are two primary uh, sugarcane producing regions in the country, one in the west, other in the north. In the west, the grade is 9. In the north, the grade is 10.5. That 1.5 makes a lot of difference, especially for a factory. So you will see majority of the sugar mills are either in the north or in the west, because those are the two zones where production is happening. So we are considering, say, west is where our raw material is coming from, and 9% is the grade of sugar cane that we have, which is the recovery. So likewise, we will be generating 9% of the entire capacity that we will be operating at. 9% of the entire sugarcane crush based on the capacity that we are operating. So that is going to be our one revenue driver. So जो sugar बनेगा वो हम बेचेंगे और बेचेंगे किस रेट पे, तो 28,000 rupees per ton, which is 28 rupees per kg at the factory gate. You and me probably buy it at around 35, 40, depending upon the brand and logistics cost, benefits or margin to the middleman as well as the factory. So 28,000 rupees per ton is going to be our selling rate of the sugar. So that is going to be one line of revenue. Now what happens in sugarcane production is so much quantity of in sugar production is so much quantity of sugarcane is crushed that a lot of wood like substance is left as a byproduct. When you go and take a sugarcane juice, you will see that from that machine a lot of remains of the sugarcane. Now that is called as bagasse. Okay. And the benefit of that bagasse is that it has calorific value. That means it can help you generate some form of energy. So what you do is you don't sell that bagasse because otherwise you are basically selling a product very early in the value chain. What you want to do is you want to sell finished goods rather than raw material. Okay, so what you do in the sugar factory itself is you also put up a power plant. You use the bagasse to generate electricity by burning the bagasse. You boil the water and the water becomes steam, and the steam is directed on what is called as a turbine, and the turbine rotates what is called as a generator, and electricity is made. Okay, just like how hydroelectricity power plant works, the water falls and turbine rotates, electricity gets. Similarly, here you use the thermal energy from the bagasse. Now, for the power plant, the best part is raw material is free. क्योंकि शुगर फैक्ट्री के लिए शुगर केन तो खरीदना ही था. So therefore, these kind of other revenue lines which you generate will be called as co-generation unit. Okay. मतलब शुगर फैक्ट्री पावर प्लांट डालना हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव था ही नहीं, शुगर फैक्ट्री डालना ऑब्जेक्टिव था. Co-generation. So along with your main thing, you also end up generating electricity. That's how the concept. No, it depends upon how much capacity you can build. So here what is going to happen is 1000 TCD of sugar cane that you are crushing generates so much bagasse that it will run a 20 megawatt power. Now this ratio of what size of sugar will run what size of power is all given by technical team. Okay. So 20 megawatt में से आपको सिर्फ 40% ही चाहिए. The electricity that you are generating crushed per day. But that is not a direct electricity ratio. So here what the engineering team must have done is they must have estimated that when I crush 1000 TCD of sugar cane, so much bagasse is generated that you can use that to operate say 20 megawatt power plant. अब 40 का डालेंगे तो क्या होगा? तो पूरे दिन का उसको बगास मिलेगा नहीं. 10 का डालेंगे तो क्या होगा कि probably excess bagasse will be left over, something like that. So that ratio is there. But electricity is not the calculation of electricity is not based on power. Only capacity of the electricity plant is based on the sugar plant. So 20 megawatt electricity plant operate होगा तो कितना electricity generate होगा? We will come to the specifics later. This is what I said. In the model, understanding the sector details is what is going to be the new part. Yes. So you have to have a proportionate to electricity plant. बहुत बड़ा प्लांट डाल के वो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा कि फिर बाहर से या तो बगास खरीदो या कोल खरीदो, ऐसा कुछ करना पड़ेगा. Now your plant, sugar and power both put together is also a large facility. So it's like say a small town. So you will have a lot of electricity requirement. So as you correctly said, is this a captive? So it won't be a captive. You will only need 40% of the generated electricity for your own consumption. Now what do you do with the remaining 60? So you sell it back to the grid. Okay. So 60% of the total electricity that we are generating will be sold, and the recovery rate for power is 4 rupees per unit. वो 60% जो हम बेच रहे हैं electricity, वो हमें 4 रुपये पे the grid will pay us. Okay, the grid probably might charge 10 rupees ahead, but that is a different issue altogether. 4 is the rate that we are getting as the electricity producer. Now there is a third raw material which also third byproduct which also gets created, or maybe second byproduct, which is called as molasses. Molasses is a sticky in between byproduct that gets created while sugar production, and molasses is used to produce ethanol. So you can also have a situation where there is a third line of revenue, ethanol, where you have a distillery. Okay, so you will generally see sugar factory, power plant, and distillery, everything in the same campus. Okay, because again, raw material is already getting made because of the sugar production. Or you can sell molasses. Again, raw material selling is not a very uh, valuable outcome. Paper manufacturing also has electricity plant as a byproduct. Not bagasse might be used as a raw material or part of raw material in the paper making. Yes. If, for example, you start with the sugar factory, a lot of sugar factories started like that without electricity. So then that bagasse was getting sold for other industries. Okay, acha, Navneet, for paper making, correct. Or there is this briquette making also, for which you end up using bagasse. That is called as biofuel. Okay, but then selling bagasse is like selling raw material. So if you end up creating a finished good and sell it in the value chain, profitability is much higher. So here we are ignoring the distillery line of revenue. So we are only considering two lines of revenue. One is sugar and other is electricity. Okay. So what are the assumptions? Here they are. To set up a 1000 TCD sugar factory and 20 megawatt electricity plant, you will need 1200 million rupees. 120 crore का project है. Okay. Ideally in the market 1000 TCD is a very small capacity. ये feasible ही नहीं है. In Indian market 3500 and above is what the sugar factories are. So it is generally a project of around 450 crore if you include the electricity plant also along with that. But here just for our calculation purpose and to keep numbers round, okay, we've stripped this down to 1000 TCD. So 1200 million is your hard cost, okay, the factory setup cost. The money is going to come 35% in equity and 65 in debt, and the debt is available to us at 10% rate of interest. Okay, so this is going to result in some kind of soft cost, that is interest that will get computed during construction. So first step of the model is we want to find out how much is that interest and therefore how much more is the overall project cost. It's going to take us 2 years to build the factory and we are going to operate the factory for the next 10 years. So 2 plus 10, 12 year का total हमारा project है. So if you look at any year, any page, you will see year 1 and 2 construction and everything from 3 to 12 is your total life of project. Same thing being done here in the template also. Template I think is extended only to 10, but it is actually up to 12. The model when we are building, we will be building it up to 12 years, okay, which is 10 years of life. Okay. So that is your asset and some details about where the funding is coming from. Then what are you going to, okay, another thing is phasing schedule is given quarterly. So I'm going to make 10% in the first quarter and another 10 in the second, so on and so forth. So over the 2 years, you will end up making 100% of the factory. When you start operating, you will be operating the factory only for 240 days because sugarcane availability is only for 200 to 220. You don't have the sugarcane production happening throughout the year, season, but you will operate for all 24 hours at a capacity of 80% in the first year of operation. You won't be able to operate at 100% capacity. Factory is new, people are new, and because you are making it for the first time, so we'll consider generally high efficiency is not achieved in the first year of operation. People learn to operate better. Okay, that is also called as learning curve. And over the next 3 years, your capacity utilization is going up to 90%. Most of the times for mechanical or electrical equipment, 100% capacity utilization never happens. Okay, you have some kind of mechanical breakdown there during the period of operation. So we are considering 90% as our steady state efficiency going for all years. So this is for year 3, which is year number 1 for operation. First year of operation is year number 3, then 4, 5, go on, so on. Grade of sugarcane is 9%, so 100 kg of cane you crush, 9 kg of sugar you will get. 28,000 per ton is the rate at which we will be selling sugar at in year 3, 5% escalation that will happen there. Electricity plant is 20 megawatt, internal consumption is 40%. Electricity plant will have similar utilization as the sugar factory, and 4 rupees per unit is your sale rate, which will also escalate by 5. So these are all details related to income or sales. Then we have expenses. First and foremost, sugar cane. You have to buy sugar cane, 2100 rupees per ton, escalating at 5%. Every other expense will be as a percent of sales, which is total sales, including both sugar as well as power. Depreciation rate, straight line 10% by Companies Act, WDV 20% by IT Act. Tax rate 25, MAT rate 20, we'll maintain an inventory of 40 days, and we'll get a credit period of 15 days from our supplier. Given their terms of debt, 10% rate of interest, first 2 years, you are raising debt, third year, moratorium, 6 years. From there, you'll be repaying the debt in equal amount, 1616. So there is no complication of making a debt schedule, making that installment based debt schedule here. All you are doing is 1/6 is your repayment. Any surplus cash the project generates will earn 5% income, and are we generating an IRR more than cost of equity of 20% is the problem. Okay. So how we are going to build this entire model? We have defined the scheme, and step 1 is to build the ID. So everybody come to the IDC, and I will explain and you try. What do we want to find in the first part or in the IDC page? Interest during construction means हमें निकालना है interest. Interest निकालने के लिए क्या चाहिए? Debt schedule. So debt schedule is being made here. Opening balance, how much debt we are adding in the given year, and closing balance. Now, percentage at which the project is getting completed is given in quarters. किस क्वार्टर में कितना परसेंट कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं वो दिया हुआ, ओके. तो जितना प्रोजेक्ट हम कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं उस पीरियड में उतना ही पैसा हम रेज करेंगे, इज द प्रेजेंट. बेसिस दिस लॉजिक, let me also show interlinking between worksheets. So if I want that percentage phasing number here, first year, first quarter mein, how much project are we making? 10%. So I want this number there. So all you will have to do is equal to, and then go to assumptions page and click on that 10%. Now what it does is it will create this kind of a formula reference here. Assumptions is the worksheet name. Exclamation mark is a separator operator, and E9 is the cell. But you are writing the formula in IDC page. आप formula कहाँ लिख रहे हैं? IDC में. So natural inclination is to go on to the IDC page without doing anything to the formula. So now you will see formula change हो गया. Formula में पेज का नाम हो गया IDC, जबकि डेटा तो हमें assumptions पेज से चाहिए. Okay, so you will go wrong here. So whenever you are interconnecting between worksheets, one thing you have to remember is as soon as you build the formula, enter udhari. Don't change the reference. If you want to further extend the formula, put the operator plus minus जो भी आपका operator है वो डाल दो और फिर पेज चेंज करो. Incomplete formula में पेज नहीं चेंज करो, otherwise page reference will change. ठीक है, everybody. First link back the percentage phasing from IDC page, and now complete the date schedule and tell me फर्स्ट क्वार्टर के एंड में डेट कितना है और लास्ट क्वार्टर के एंड में डेट कितना. ग्रीन आंसर्स यू फाइंड एंड टेल. व्हाट आर वी मेकिंग? वी आर मेकिंग डेट शेड्यूल. डेट शेड्यूल किस चीज का है? शुगर फैक्ट्री का है. शुगर फैक्ट्री बनाने के लिए हम कुछ पैसे डेट से रेज करें. हर क्वार्टर में उतने ही पैसे रेज करेंगे जितने की फैक्ट्री बनेगी. फैक्ट्री कितने की बन रही है वो परसेंटेज फेजिंग बता रहे. Make an attempt. What is the ending date for quarter 1 year 1 and ending date for quarter 4 year 2? For which year? For which quarter? नहीं, 78 is correct. Correct. उतना ही डेट रेस करेंगे in that period because उतना ही फैक्ट्री कंस्ट्रक्ट हो रहा है और लास्ट ईयर करेक्ट. Proceed ahead and calculate the interest for all years and add them here. यहाँ पे हम सम करेंगे सारे इंटरेस्ट का और आप मुझे ये सम का आंसर कितना आ रहा है ये बताइए. Because this entire interest cost will get loaded onto the project. So you remember case number 7. तो इसमें we had calculated interest this and this. तो 25 लाख was our hard cost. उसमें if I add this sum, I end up getting the total value. So we could have done it like that also. First quarter and last quarter ending balance. And once you are done, find interest below for all the years and sum all the interest numbers there and give me the in IDC value. In the meantime, date schedule I will show on the screen. Okay. So first quarter first year में पहले तो opening will always be same as previous closing. उसका फार्मूला तो कभी चेंज नहीं होगा. Here's how the date schedule would be. Opening balance same as previous closing. Okay. Then date addition. How much debt are we adding in the given year? तो कितना लोन चाहिए? जितने की फैक्ट्री बन रही है उतना लोन चाहिए. कितने की फैक्ट्री बन रही है? 10% की फैक्ट्री बन रही है. Okay, 10% of what? 10% of total cost of project. So we are taking it from cell B9, which is the total. 1200 ऊपर दो जगह पे भी है, but वहां से मत लीजिए आप. You have to consider hard plus soft put together. So total cost. So 1200. Now every quarter this is not going to change, so we'll fix. But what are we trying to find? कितनी फैक्ट्री बन रही है कि उसमें से कितनी डेट फंड कर रही है. We are trying to find how much debt are we raising to build the factory. So 10% of the factory बन रही है और उसमें से 65% money is going to come from debt. So into 65%. So here is the formula for debt addition. Correct. Good. So there was a catch there. We'll wait. Okay. Debt addition formula on screen. Students online, are we following?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So closing balance therefore will be opening plus addition. And then you drag this till the end and you will get the entire date schedule as shown. Here is the addition formula on screen for your reference. Which one? हाँ, ये एडिशंस का फार्मूला में आप देखिए B9 और B13 जो है एजम्पशंस का, उनको दोनों को आपको डॉलर साइन ऐड कर देना. B9 and B13 both you have to fix and closing is opening plus addition. Don't take the percentage, otherwise थोड़ा नंबर चेंज हो जाएंगे. खाली सम करेंगे आप तीनों का तो परसेंट भी आएगा. 780. Got it clear, everybody? Should we proceed? Everyone calculate interest below. Rate of interest is given 10% on the assumptions page. And tell me what is the total here. नीचे आप interest निकालिए. Interest you have to find on closing date. That is because addition is happening at the start of the period. Interest you find on closing date because addition is happening at the start of the period. How much is the total interest? Correct. So let's calculate interest. Debt, are we done? Everyone debt schedule बना लिया आपने? Anybody needs any formula there? So interest we will calculate on closing date first of all. 78 million pay, we will have to pay 10% interest rate. Correct. But what are we trying to find? Quarterly interest calculate, and the rate is annual. So you will divide by 4. And sum all the interest numbers, that should add up to 88. Everyone check. Okay, got it clear. Now, the idea was for us to take this soft cost and add it to your project cost. Total project cost is hard cost plus soft cost. Hard cost is kept where? Assumptions. So let us link it back here. Okay, is equal to 80. Link it back. Where is the number change? Correct. So 88 will add up, increase the total cost. 65% of that means debt will further increase. Interest of 10% on that, interest will increase. Like that, the circular reference will happen. And when you tick mark the iterations, the circular reference will get resolved and your project cost will increase accordingly. मतलब interest on interest calculation उसमें consider हो जाए. तो circular reference already हो गया है यहाँ पे. If you see, go to file options and formulas, enable iterative calculation, tick mark, which is the solution to circular reference error. अगर मैं यहाँ tick कर देता हूँ तो error आ जाएगा. Okay, so because of this linking, the reference error has happened, and you also know how to resolve it by keeping the iteration trigger on. Done. 1295. Therefore, is our estimate of total project. 130 crore का project है actually 120 crore. Everybody check, has it changed? So again, I go back to FSA 2. Remember, we had done this in this case. Whatever is your interest, okay, on that, for example, project is having hard cost of 625 and soft cost of 0. And on this total cost, you are raising 60% debt. As soon as interest comes in, what happens? The interest also gets added on to the total cost. उसका 60% डेट लेंगे तो डेट बढ़ गया आपका थोड़ा. उस डेट पे इंटरेस्ट बढ़ गया. करेक्ट. बट फिर वापस बढ़ा हुआ इंटरेस्ट पे वापस डेट बढ़ गया, अगेन इंटरेस्ट. सो दैट वाज समथिंग दैट वी डिस्कस लास्ट टाइम इन दिस आइटरेशन स्टेज. कहाँ गया ये टोटल कॉस्ट इज कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ हार्ड एंड सॉफ्ट. उस पे हमारा है डेट, इस पे निकालते हैं इंटरेस्ट, बट इंटरेस्ट इज नथिंग बट सॉफ्ट कॉस्ट. So A to B, B to C, C back to A, and this referencing creates a problem for us, which is resolved using iteration. बार बार वही कैलकुलेशन करो, आंसर सही हो जाता. That is what iteration says. So you will see in iterations we explain that project was. I forgot to see. If it is getting recorded. Yeah. So this is what we did. Okay, last time. So same thing has happened here also, and that 88 increased to 95. So if you reduce the interest, increase the percentage of funding in the form of debt, the IDC will further improve, क्योंकि वो interest on interest बढ़ते जाएगा. 70 यहाँ किया तो वो 103 हो गया. ठीक है, तो ये तो more or less part 1 is done. You now know the project cost is 1295. Of that 35% has to come in the form of equity. मतलब FCFE में पहले 2 years में 1295 का 35% पैसा जाएगा प्रमोटर से. Okay, remember the entire idea for the project is to figure out the IRR, right? तो IRR में चाहिए क्या? कैश फ्लो. तो पहले 2 years में तो इन्वेस्टमेंट ही है प्रमोटर की, तो कितनी है? तो 1295 का 35%, और फर्स्ट ईयर में प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट कितना हो रहा है? 50%. तो 1295 का 35% का 50%, इतना जेब प्रमोटर के जेब से जाएगा. बट इंस्टेड ऑफ वी गोइंग अहेड, लेट्स पुट इट डाउन हियर. ओके, so quarterly model we were only going to build for IDC. Here onwards we are saying that life of project is 10 years. तो 10 साल into 4 क्वार्टर 40 कॉलम का मॉडल बनेगा, वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स, cumbersome. Okay, so here onwards we want to make the model annual. So you will see all other pages have annual schedule, quarterly schedule नहीं है. Okay, so this debt and asset added and equity added also we want to see annually. So let us create a small annual calculation here. Percentage phasing for first year is sum of first 4 quarters. So we are just converting the quarterly numbers to annual numbers because this is the data we will use for later. ये डेटा बाद में लगेगा. सेम सेकेंड ईयर के चारों क्वार्टर्स का एडिशन करते हो फॉर द परसेंट प्रपोर्शन ऑफ फैक्ट्री वी आर बिल्डिंग इन ईयर नंबर 2. तो लकीली हियर इट इज 50-50%, बट वो चेंज हो सकता है. मतलब वो फेजिंग जनरली डिपेंड किस पे करता है कि आपका कंस्ट्रक्शन शेड्यूल का को कितना टाइम लगेगा, फिर आपका मेजोरिटी इक्विपमेंट से. शुगर क्रशिंग यूनिट जो है वी विल बी बाइंग इट फ्रॉम सम equipment manufacturing company. So they will give, based on their order book, they will give you the timeline as to when they will deliver and what will be your payment structure. तो उसके ऊपर आपका phasing schedule depend होता है. So 50% is the first year, 50% is second year. So 50% of the factory will be making the first year and our total factory cost is 1295 million. तो कितने का asset first year में add होगा? 1295 का 50%. 1295 को फिक्स कर लो. Now asset added, debt added and equity added later we will require for balance sheet completion. Remember, balance sheet में हमें बताना पड़ेगा कि asset कितने का है, equity कितने की है, debt कितने का है. So all of that is where this addition numbers will be ready. Okay, तो 647 million का asset हम बना रहे हैं, तो equity कितनी लगेगी? करेक्ट. तो 35% ऑफ 640, जितना एसेट बन रहा है उसका 35% इक्विटी है, 226 million. So this is the promoter's outflow. The entire idea of IDC is to figure out कि जेब से पैसा कितना जाएगा प्रमोटर. पहले 2 साल में आने वाला तो कुछ है नहीं, इनफैक्ट डालना ही पड़ेगा, तो वो कितना है वो हमें यहाँ मिल जाता है। तो निगेटिव कैश फ्लो इन द IRR, sorry, negative amount in the IRR stream you estimate in the first part. लगे हाथ इधर we will also put date added below. Everybody just add one more line so that we can ignore that other thing. So if you see date schedule में यहाँ पे एक annual schedule भी देके रखा हुआ है. Rather than making this entire annual schedule, we just want date added annually. तो यहाँ क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ quarterly date added मिल रहा है हमें, बट आगे हम annual pages बना रहे हैं, तो फिर then you will have to sum up 4 quarters. तो वो सब करने से अच्छा है कि यही निकाल लो, 647 में से 226 इक्विटी में से आ रहा है, तो बचा डेट से आ रहा है. It will amount to the same, 421 million आ रहा है. If you go back and add the first 4 quarters, वो आंसर भी 421 ही आने वाला है. But then this will make it easy for us to build the remaining case. So you put here date added, and how much is date added? Asset added minus equity added. The goal here was to just convert the data into annual. Later be able to use this for our schedule. Okay, done, everybody. So every time when you analyze the development stage, okay, you will always get the details of asset, debt and equity. Use of fund, source of fund का detail आपको हमेशा step 1 में ही मिलेगा. Okay, so imagine it from making the balance sheet later. बैलेंस शीट के डिटेल सबसे पहले मिलते हैं, फिर आप धंधा सोचना चालू करते हैं. नाउ यू आर गोइंग टू डू. तो स्टेप 1 इज डन. आईडीसी कंप्लीट हो गया हमारा, इसको मैं मार्क कर दूं. या टिल हियर एवरीबॉडी, आर वी डन टिल हियर? एनी डाउट एनीवेयर? लेट मी नो. आ गए यहाँ तक? डन. Yes, got it. So let's do annual sales का एक part, then probably we'll take a break because I have to explain something about power. So step 1 is done. कि आपको प्रोजेक्ट की कॉस्ट टोटल कितनी है वो मिल गया है, तो आपको ये समझ में आ गया कि एज अ प्रमोटर पैसा कितना डालना पड़ेगा. एंड द सेकंड थिंग इज कितना आपको बैंक से बोरो करना. नाउ व्हाट? नाउ वी वांट टू एनालाइज इफ द बिजनेस ऑपरेट्स, व्हाट इज इट दैट यू आर गोइंग टू गेट. तो सबसे पहले देखेंगे सेल्स. So let's come to annual sales. I will explain the page. You try to do the calculations. So first of all, you will see what are we trying to find here. कि शुगर बेच के कितना पैसा आ रहा है और पावर बेच के कितना पैसा आ रहा है. That is going to help us get the revenue. First 2 years में we cannot sell anything because the factory is not made. So I am going to keep them very. Third year onwards, to operate the factory. Third year is your first year of operation. तो आपका एक्चुअली प्रोजेक्ट ऑपरेशन तीसरे साल से शुरू हो रहा है. तो शुरू हो रहा है तो you are going to buy sugar cane, you are going to crush it, you are going to convert it to sugar, and you are going to sell it at the given rate. So based on that logic, we just want to figure out million rupees में. Remember, numbers are large, so we are going to talk about everything in millions. We want to find out what is the million rupees revenue that we are generating each year. So I have given a logical flow here. Now, how to create the flow is something that will come to you over time as you spend some time in the sector. फिर आपको थॉट प्रोसेस आ जाएगा, लॉजिक आ जाएगा. तो फिलहाल हम ये वाला फॉलो करते हैं. पहले देखेंगे कि प्लान की कैपेसिटी क्या है. ओके, Now whatever I have written here and what number we are expecting here, uska dimension is written here so that there is not much confusion. So for example, here what do I want? Third year में sugar factory की capacity in tons crushed per day कितनी? So that later if I am reading this file, somebody else is reading this file, he'll be able to easily understand कि okay यहाँ पे number समझ लो कुछ 50. What is this 50? 50 है third year में sugar plant की capacity in TCD. 50 TCD is how he is going to read it. Okay, that's why all that definitions there. So sugar plant capacity, how much? How many number of days are you going to work in that year, or the factory is going to operate in that year? What is the rate of utilization of the factory for that year? How many tons of sugar cane hence you are crushing in that year? If X is the grade of sugar cane that you are buying as an input raw material, how many tons of sugar will get produced? What is the sale rate of sugar for the given year? Sale rate is expected to grow by 5% going forward. And therefore, how much is the million rupee revenue that you will generate in the given? Now, some of these details are given in assumptions. Some you will have to calculate. Everybody compute and tell me year 3 and year 12 sale of sugar in million rupees. तो आपको आंसर मिलियन में देना है तो आप डिवाइड बाय 10 lakhs या 10⁶ कर दो और वो आंसर मुझे बताओ. ठीक है, एवरीबॉडी इज द रिक्वायरमेंट क्लियर? एनी डाउट? ईयर 3 एंड ईयर 12 का शुगर प्रोड्यूस करके बेच के कितना पैसा मिलेगा ये आपको इवैल्यूएट. सो यू विल सी दैट रेवेन्यू ड्राइवर हैज बिकम अ लिटिल मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स कंपेयर टू द प्रीवियस केस. पहले मैंने क्या किया था, आपको क्वांटिटी और सेल प्राइस दे दिया था, so it was easy to estimate sales. Now you are going by the business logic, and this is something that will increase as you get on the job, and then you will be expected to understanding the sector. बेसिक मॉडल का फ्रेमवर्क तो फिक्स्ड है, ये कभी चेंज नहीं होने वाला. हम्म 80% is capacity utilization in the first year of operation, which is year 3. तो थर्ड ईयर में आपका 80% है, फिर 85 है, फिर 90, 99. करेक्ट. नहीं, ओनली 2 फॉर ईयर विच 3. नहीं, करेक्ट. मिलियंस में करेक्ट. डिवाइड बाय 10⁶ नंबर इज 10 लाख करना है. यस. How many million for year 3? Correct. And first is 484. Good. So you will see it is very, the business sense that you need is very simple. Common sense logic लगाना है आपको. Correct. So we'll also do it on screen step by step. First is capacity of factory. So sugar factory's capacity is given to us 1000 TCD. And is the capacity going to change? No. Why will capacity change? Unless we do some capital expansion. कुछ तो परचेस ऑफ मशीनरी करना पड़ेगा तब जाके आपका sugar cane crushing का capacity change. Nothing is mentioned about the same, so capacity is going to remain same. So we'll fix it. Then number of working days every year will be operating. 240 days वो तो किसी भी year में change नहीं होगा. So that also we can directly link. Okay, still here. Are we on the same page? Everybody. Factory capacity लिया है 17 से assumption page और working days लिया है 18 से. This what it means is 240 days every day I can crush 1000 tons. So 2,40,000 tons of sugarcane I can ideally crush. But that is in a very ideal scenario. कुछ ना कुछ मैकेनिकल ब्रेकडाउन हो जाएगा, फैक्ट्री बंद रहेगा, मैकेनिक आके रिपेयर करेगा. Something like that will always happen, and therefore we are saying that only 85% of getting utilized in year number 1 of operation. So sorry, 80% is getting utilized in year number 1. So we will operate. How much quantity of cane we will crush? 1000 tons per day for 240 days, but at 80%. So 1,92,000 tons of sugar cane is what we will crush. Okay, 1,92,000 tons of sugar cane is what we will crush. And what is the grade of sugar cane? We have 9%. The grade is also not going to change. अगले साल हमें कोई और sugar cane मिल रहा है क्या? या production farming की grade change हो रही है क्या? Nothing is going to happen. So the grade is also going to remain same. So we'll fix that. So 192,000 tons crush करने पे उसका 9% 17,000 tons of sugar will get made. So till here all the formula, you don't need to change any of these formula for the next year because there is no escalation. Escalation खाली price में होगा. तो हम ये काम कर लेते हैं, सबको कॉपी कर लेते हैं. The number is only going to change because our utilization is improved. Okay, आपका capacity utilization थोड़ा सा improve हो रहा है 80, 85 to 90. इसलिए cane crush change हो रहा है and therefore sugar produce change हो रहा है. But after 5th year, the amount of sugar you are producing is not. Why will the sales increase then? भाव बढ़ना चाहिए. भाव बढ़ रहा है. Inflation. Price is 28,000 rupees per ton for the year 1 of operation, and thereafter is increasing by 5% every year. So you will use your growth formula to increase the price. Last year plus last year into growth rate, and now this converts to a P into Q sort of problem. Price is 28,000. Q quantity produced or sold is 17,280. 28,000 rupees per ton and 17,000 tons. Therefore, our sale is 28,000 into 70. P into Q. It's going to be a very large number, so you don't want to. You cannot comprehend large numbers. Therefore, you generally have a convention of either showing them in lakhs, crores, or millions, billions. So we'll divide it by 10 lakhs or 10 raised to 6. Okay, to get the sales. 484 million for first year and 844 million for last. Everybody check till here. Any formula you need, let me know. Students online, if you want any formula, let me know. You can put same 1 and 6 zeros or 10 raised to 6, same answer आएगा. H 12, हाँ H12 इंक्रीजिंग बाय 5%. हम शुगर प्राइस को 5% से बढ़ा रहे नेक्स्ट ईयर. Million units. So I have to explain that conversion. There is a conversion from watts to units. हाँ, तो वो I'll explain in an example. नहीं, conversion का ये I'll give you the example, you will easily understand. कुछ है नहीं उसमें ज़्यादा. Yes, so you basically do a flow calculation. लॉजिकली आप बिजनेस सोचो कि कैसे चलेगा, कि आप शुगर केन खरीदोगे, फैक्ट्री चलाओगे, फिर उसका क्रश करके शुगर बनाओगे और फिर इस रेट पे बेचोगे. सेम थिंग विल डू फॉर पावर प्लांट ऑल्सो. यस, एंड अदरवाइज डायरेक्टली एक फार्मूला में ये बना नहीं पाएंगे. यस, लॉजिकल, हाँ लॉजिक यू कैन नॉट बिल्ड इन वन. मतलब सेल में पूरा एक फॉर्मूले में एस्टिमेट करूँ क्या, नहीं, क्योंकि लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर्स चेंज ना. जैसे यहाँ पे कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन चेंज हो रही है, देन शुगर की रेट चेंज हो रही है. यू ऑल्सो माइट हैव सम काइंड ऑफ एडिशन की फेज 2 आप 5 साल बाद डालोगे. मतलब ऑल दैट कैन बी मॉडल, जनरली मॉडलेट इन अ फ्लो. ठीक है, everybody, have you got the sales numbers? Okay, let's break for 5 minutes and then we'll come back and then we will focus on power. Power बेच के कितने पैसे आ रहे? That is also another source of revenue, but we want to see that post a break. Everyone take a break. After 5 minutes, we'll again start. Hello. Yeah. So let's continue. We would want to ideally complete this. Okay. So we have done the sales side of it, okay, annual sales. Now let's look at, sorry, we've done the sugar uh, revenue coming from sugar. We want to now understand or build revenue coming from power. So for that, let me first explain how the power calculation works. Okay. So here's an example. Let us look at understanding power calculation first from a consumer's point of view and then from a producer's point of view. Cost to consumer is revenue to producer. हम जब बिल भर रहे हैं तो प्रोड्यूसर को पैसे मिल रहे हैं, ओके. तो हम अपना पहले देख रहे थे. So for example, you operate this fan and projector and AC. That electrical equipment will always have a rated capacity. Okay. So rated capacity is generally given like this. For example, 100 watt. Okay. Now, watt as a unit is joule per second. Okay. The idea is not to get into physics here, only to understand that it is a per second, that is time based dimension. Okay. So if I operate this fan for 1 hour, for example, so I am basically consuming 100 watt hours of electricity. ओके, क्योंकि 1 वाट 100 वाट का इक्विपमेंट है और आपने 1 घंटे के लिए चलाया, तो जो क्वांटम ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम विल बी क्वांटिफाइड एज 100 वाट आवर. ओके, तो दोनों आपने यूनिट्स को ज्वाइन कर लिया, वाट और आवर. सिमिलरली अगर 10 घंटे चलाया तो 1000 वाट आवर. तो हमारा एक फैन 10 घंटे चला तो यू एंडेड अप कंज्यूमिंग 1000 वाट आवर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. 1000 इज 1 किलो, दैट इज जस्ट द मेट्रिक कन्वर्जन. So basically you have consumed 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. Now this is actually how electricity is measured. But consumer को ये बताना कि आपने इतने kilowatt hour की electricity consume की है, he'll get confused, get frightened also at times. So what they have done across the world is कि ये complicated नाम देने के अच्छा है unit बोल दो इसको. So the electricity conversion या electricity measurement method across the world is 1 kilowatt hour is called as 1 unit, which means now for a consumer it becomes easy. अगर आपने ये फैन 10 घंटे चलाया तो आपने 1 यूनिट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम कर ली. 1 यूनिट का रेट है 5 रुपया, आपका 5 रुपये का इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल आएगा. सिंपल. So our electricity charges are therefore getting told to us in the form of rupees per unit. But what is the unit? Unit is nothing but kilowatt hour. Yeah. No, BTU is for gas. So now this 5 rupees is cost to consumer, therefore revenue to producer. So now let's look at the entire calculation from the producer's perspective, generation company. जनरेशन कंपनी के पास भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाने वाला मशीन है, उसका भी कैपेसिटी है 1 MW विच इज मेगावाट. जैसे फैन छोटा है इक्विपमेंट तो 100 kW है उसका. तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेशन इज अ बिग task, so we consider everything in mega terms, that is 10 raised to 6. So 1 megawatt पावर प्लांट का अगर हम इवेल्युएशन करें, इससे कितना रेवेन्यू जनरेट होता है. So 1 megawatt in the first place is 1000 kilowatt. We want to convert it to kilo because measurement is in kilowatt hour. तो ये इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्लांट 1000 किलोवाट ये उसकी कैपेसिटी है. ये प्लांट अगर 1 घंटे चला तो ये 1000 किलोवाट आवर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाएगा. 1000 किलोवाट आवर मीन्स 1000 यूनिट, और 5 रुपया यूनिट का है तो 5000 रुपया आपको रेवेन्यू मिलेगा. बट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेशन इज नॉट अ ऑन एंड ऑफ प्रोसेस. इफ यू स्टार्ट अ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्लांट यू कैनॉट स्टॉप इट. If you stop it, it takes 15 days again to start. Okay, because the boiler has to get to that temperature, pressure, वो सारा complicated. So it continuously operates. Okay, तो वो continuous operation means what? आपका प्लांट एक दिन चलेगा मीन्स 24 घंटे चलेगा. 1 घंटे में वो 1000 यूनिट्स बना रहा है, तो 24 घंटे में 24,000. And you will operate it for all 365 days of the year. So it will end up making 87 million kilowatt hour. Okay, which means 87 million units. Okay, but this is a very large number, बहुत बड़ा आ रहा है वो. So what do? You divide it by 10 raised to 6 and you start calling it in million units. So 8.76 million units of electricity you will generate from a 1 megawatt plant. If you keep 1 megawatt plant operating at 100% efficiency for all 365 days of the year, and if you sell 100% of that electricity, then 8.76 million units of electricity you will sell. Sale rate is 5 rupees per unit, 43 million will be your revenue. Okay. Now what you do is you consider this conversion, and basis that find and tell me sale coming from power in year 3 and sale coming from power in year 12. The only differences in your calculation compared to the given example. 5 is that rate manually multiply here. So in your case, plant is not operating for all 365 days, not at 100% efficiency, and neither are you selling 100% of the electricity. So you have to consider only that portion of electricity which you are selling to get the sales. 240. 240. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चला प्लांट चलाने के लिए रॉ मटेरियल ही बंद हो जाएगा, प्लांट बंद. यस, तो जब वापस अगला शुगर केन का सीजन आएगा, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्लांट तब वापस शुरू होगा. There is nothing you can do about it. Otherwise, if you want, you can. नहीं है ना, 85% यूटिलाइजेशन. तो 240 में से 15% दिन तो प्लांट चल ही नहीं रहा. Yes, yes. Sugar factory also, when it operates, तीनों शिफ्ट चलता है. You don't get a break in the sugar factory because people and everybody gets salary for 4-5 months for free. जब फैक्ट्री बंद है तो कोई नहीं आ रहा. So operating expenses are there for the full year. नहीं, you can, electricity plant you are saying, no? But for sugar factory, why do you need that? Okay, so you can also operate the power plant throughout the year, not that you cannot, but then for the remaining 120 days you will need to buy the raw material. So bagasse या फिर generally these are thermal plants, so coal पे भी चलते, but then buying coal and generating electricity वो economics work out. Now let's use that one as a conversion example. Accordingly आप 20 मेगावाट का conversion as per our specifications करो. So you will see that after a point वो income balance sheet का structure बदल नहीं रहा है. Where lot of your energy and understanding and research will go by is in understanding the sector specific. So all this you will have to read, and there is no clear primer that you can get. Okay, you have to do these things, researching, talking to people, and getting. That's why and one ends up becoming a sector specialist. नहीं नहीं, शुगर फैक्ट्री है ना, उससे रेवेन्यू कम ही आएगा. नहीं नहीं, तो मिलियन कन्वर्ट करने के बाद 700 आ रहा है कि पहले आ रहा है? कन्वर्ट करने के बाद कितना है? इट विल बी लेस देन शुगर फैक्ट्री, दैट इज क्लियर, बिकॉज अदरवाइज हम इस प्रोजेक्ट को बोलेंगे पावर प्लांट. नहीं 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 नहीं, मतलब रॉन्ग है. करेक्ट. नंबर मिलियंस में प्रॉपर आएगा आप जब 10⁻⁶ से डिवाइड कर लोगे उसके बाद. तो कन्वर्जन में कुछ गड़बड़ हो रही है. That is the only thing that you have to calculate. Everything is just getting pulled from everywhere else. 21 is where the entire crux lies. Yes. Yeah. हाँ, here it is. या कन्वर्जन मैंने यहाँ रखा है, देखिए डिस्कशन पेज में ये है शुगर वगैरह, इसके नीचे कन्वर्जन है. I'll keep the conversion open here, but it is also given in your pages. Million units. So MU is million units. So you find the answer in units and then you divide by 10⁻⁶ to convert it to million units. ये क्या है? कन्वर्जन रेशियो इज गिवन हियर. नहीं नहीं, कुछ तो गलत. यस, इट विल बी मीनिंगफुल वैल्यू. सेकंड, व्हाट इज पर सेकंड? तो अब डिपेंड करता है कि अब आप फैक्ट्री कितने देर चला रहे हो. तो अगर आप 1 आवर चला रहे हो तो 20 मेगावाट आवर बनेंगे. 1 डे चला रहे हो तो 20 into 24, like that it will work. Same conversion like we showed here. Okay, here I will start. Okay. Yes, MU. हाँ, वो MU में M मिलियन ही है तो वो मिलियन कन्वर्जन ही करना पड़ेगा. Okay, those who are doing, continue doing it. I will connect the other cells. MU को छोड़ के बाकी का तो कर लेता हूँ पहले. वो तो सिंपल है. नहीं, तो कन्वर्जन में मिस्टेक है. फर्स्ट ईयर नहीं, 175 ज्यादा आ रहा है. So I will put here. See, capacity of electricity plant to be given in megawatts. Okay. नहीं, 0.2. Okay, 2212 is correct. Point wrong हो गया. Okay, decimal में exact answer is right. Decimal में mistake. Yes, is what MU की सेल नहीं. वेट अभी 2 मिनट में हो जाएगा. ओके, assumptions पे you are already being given the capacity. ठीक है, तो साल भर हो या कुछ भी हो, मशीनरी की कैपेसिटी तो चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, so we will fix it. Then second is how many number of days are we operating in the year? Again 240. क्योंकि वी आर प्रिज्यूमिंग दैट बचे हुए दिन हमें रॉ मटेरियल मिलेगा ही नहीं और हम कोल खरीद के ये प्लांट नहीं चला रहे. जनरली these cogeneration plants, if you buy coal and try to operate them, they are never profitable. खर्चा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाने का खर्चा ज्यादा आएगा देन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सेल का प्राइस, क्योंकि साइज इज सो लो. कोल बेस्ड पावर प्लांट्स आर 500, 700, 1000 megawatts. So there is a large economy of scale. You cannot match them at 20 megawatts. Okay. Furthermore, your plant is never close to where coal is. So generally, you will see coal plants are very thermal plants are very close to coal mines. Okay, so that logistics cost मतलब वो काफी complication है उनका decision में. Then you have how many hours of day we are operating? Obviously, 24 hours. The plant will operate for all the number of hours. You cannot, because it's not an on-off kind of equipment. Utilization again same 85%, 80% for the first year, and out of that internal capacity used for internal consumption in percent is already given to us as 40. So remaining is 1 minus 40. So till here everybody check. इधर तक हो गया सबका. Now we will do the MU conversion. Okay. So we'll go as per our discussion here. 1 megawatt means 1000 kilowatt. Operating for how many hours per day, how many days per year, and at what efficiency. So here we will follow the same. 20 megawatt means how many kilowatt? 20,000 kilowatt. So first we change it to kW. If this plant operates for 1 hour, it will generate 20,000 kilowatt hour electricity. Into number of hours of work per day, which is 24, into number of days of work per year, 240. But this is considering 100% utilization. We are not, we are at 80%. And this is the total electricity produced, but not sold. Sold कितना है? Correct, into 60. तो ये बहुत बड़ा नंबर आने वाला है. तो इतने यूनिट्स बनने वाले हैं, बट हमको तो मिलियन यूनिट चाहिए, तो डिवाइड बाय 10⁻². So the final answer is 55 million units. So everything is getting multiplied except 40%. हाँ, वो अदरवाइज डबल काउंट हो जाएगा. और 1000 ऊपर देना है और 10 लाख नीचे देना है. वो 1000 in the numerator probably is where the conversion error happens. Okay. So 55 million units we are making and we are selling it at 4 per unit. So 220, correct. And last is correct. So almost 35-36% of total revenue is coming from electricity. हाँ, 8.76 को पकड़ के मत चलो, मतलब वो कन्वर्जन यूज कर लो. एक को यू कैन डू दैट, बट उसमें क्या हो रहा है, हम 100% यूटिलाइजेशन ले रहे हैं, 365 डेज ऑपरेशन ले रहे हैं. यहाँ पे डेज ऑफ ऑपरेशन, यूटिलाइजेशन, अमाउंट ऑफ पावर वी आर सेलिंग, वो सभी चेंज हो रहा है. So you need the conversion logic from there. ठीक है, तो rate of sale of power is 4. तो मल्टीप्लाई द 2, ऑलरेडी मिलियन यूनिट्स है, तो वापस मिलियन कन्वर्जन की जरूरत नहीं है. megawatt to kilowatt conversion, because electricity measurement is kilowatt hour unit measurement. Only thing that is changing is the power sale rate. और वैसे तो कैपेसिटी भी चेंज हो रहा है, बट दैट फॉर्मूला यू कैन डायरेक्टली ड्रैग, इट विल वर्क. Last answer is 386. Therefore, total sale is sugar plus power. एक बार आंसर्स मैच कर लो. 705 for year 1 and 1230 for the last. Okay. Here are all the numbers on screen in one go for power. Any number you need, let me know. 1230 हो गया आपका total sale last year. Now total sale number we will need. This will go back in the income statement. Cost will get calculated. Next up, we are going to do the cost estimate. Yeah, you can share. इधर एक शेयरिंग का ऑप्शन है ना. शेयरिंग का कई तो ऑप्शन है. And give editing rights. Put it in that one cloud, and two people can simultaneously access it, save it. मतलब real time you can see the changes in the workspace. Possible. Okay, 12:30. Everybody, we have it. That is the not the time. The total sale number. Okay, done. So step 2 is also complete. We have the revenue drivers now. Let's proceed to cost. So we will start with annual expenses. Okay, everybody come to annual expenses. I will explain and you do the computing. First 2 years, no operating cost because factory to bani rahi hai. Everything will start from year number 3. You are going to buy sugarcane. So purchase price of sugarcane is already given there. Cane crushed, you have to figure out and find the raw material expense, which is nothing but sugarcane. Okay. So third year से लेके 12th year तक raw material expense in million rupees कितना होगा. Then salary, consumable, other and repair are all as a percent of total sale. Okay. Don't take only sugar sale. आपको people लगेंगे दोनों फैक्ट्री में. सेम कंज्यूमेबल अदर एक्सपेंस सब लगेगा आपको दोनों फैक्ट्री में. तो टोटल सेल का इतना इतना परसेंटेज ये सारे लाइन आइटम है. तो आपका टोटल ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस इंक्लूडिंग रॉ मटेरियल कितना है ईयर 3 का और ईयर 12 इज व्हाट यू नीड टू फाइंड. वी विल नीड इट फॉर रॉ मटेरियल एक्सपेंस. शुगर केन की प्राइस वो 5% से बढ़ रही है. Sugarcane cost or sugarcane price is the same, escalating at 5%. So once you have the annual sales and annual expenses page, then the remaining worksheets will be simple. You have to just link the number from here. करेक्ट. सेम फॉर ऑल ईयर्स यू आर सेइंग? नहीं, it will be the same as calculated earlier. करेक्ट. वहां पे हमने प्रोडक्शन के लिए के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखा है, सॉरी सेल के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखा है, यहाँ पे आप प्रोडक्शन के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखिए. कॉस्ट ऑफ शुगर केन मतलब शुगर केन प्राइस विल बी यूज टू फाइंड रॉ मटेरियल एक्सपेंस. हाँ तो वो इसी में आगे आएगा ना, शुगर केन का रेट का ही एस्केलेशन इधर होगा. शुगर केन प्राइस, शुगर केन कॉस्ट, शुगर केन रेट एक ही. करेक्ट. हाँ मतलब उसमें बेसिकली इसमें पहला नंबर जो है आपका वो 2100 आना चाहिए. दैट्स ऑल. हाँ कि आपका फर्स्ट ईयर का भाव क्या है, तो 2100 रुपया पर टन. आगे क्या हो रहा है भाई, 5% से बढ़ रहा है. लेकिन कितने टन चाहिए आपको, कितना, एक टन कर रहे क्या साल में? नहीं, जितने टन है उतना. तो ये मल्टीप्लीकेशन करके आपका खर्चा आएगा. या नहीं, बट ये कितना है? प्राइस मतलब कॉस्ट या ऐसा कुछ. हाँ, मतलब वो नाम थोड़ा शुगर केन रेट बोल सकते हो उधर. फर्स्ट ईयर का. हाँ सॉरी, ईयर 3 का. नहीं, 4 डिजिट में नहीं आएगा ना, 3 डिजिट में. सेल अपना 700 मिलियन है, तो कॉस्ट उससे कम ही आनी है, क्योंकि ये तो ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट है. अभी डेप्रिसिएशन, इंटरेस्ट, टैक्स बाकी है. सेवन नंबर इज भाई 2100. नहीं, सेल से थाउजेंड्स में क्यों जा रहा है? टोटल यू आर टेलिंग मी ना. क्या ऐड कर रहे हैं? हाँ वो करना है ना ऐड, ये यू हैव टू ऐड. नहीं बहुत. अगेन कम बैक, बेसिक लॉजिक क्या है? रेवेन्यू कितना आने वाला है पहले ईयर में? 700 में. उसमें अगर 2000 का खर्चा आ गया तो फिर धंधा ही क्यों कर रहे हैं? करेक्ट. कुछ गलती है मतलब कैलकुलेशन में. अच्छा, 2 में आप रॉ मटेरियल एक्सपेंस में ये दिखा रहे हैं क्या? ये रॉन्ग है. नहीं, ये निकालो ना आप पहले. व्हाट इज रॉ मटेरियल एक्सपेंस? आपको शुगर केन खरीदना पड़ेगा. करेक्ट. कितना रेट में पड़ रहा है शुगर केन? 2100 रुपये. टोटल ईयर. नहीं, अब ज्यादा ही कम हो गया. 2100 का शुगर केन पड़ रहा है. 2100 में क्या मिल रहा है? कितना शुगर केन मिल रहा है 2100 में? 1 टन. करेक्ट. और हम कितना शुगर केन क्रश कर रहे हैं थर्ड ईयर में? करेक्ट, 192,000 टन, वो हमने निकाला इधर. हम क्या बोल रहे हैं कि इतना क्रश करके इतना पैसा कमाएंगे, तो इतना क्रश करने के लिए इतना खरीदना तो पड़ेगा. तो 1 टन अगर 2100 का है और हम अगर 192,000 टन खरीद रहे हैं, तो हमारा टोटल खर्चा कितना है? करेक्ट. एंड कन्वर्ट इट टू मिलियन. करेक्ट. So that you will get used to. Everything in the market will be always millions और करोड़ कैलकुलेट. ये एब्सोल्यूट में कुछ भी नहीं कैलकुलेशन होगा, क्योंकि बहुत बड़े बड़े नंबर हो जाते हैं ना, तो यू कैनॉट कॉम्प्रीहेंड नंबर. करेक्ट. 894. गुड. वही ना. एक्सपीरियंस यू कॉल इट. एट. लास्ट नंबर इज हाउ मच? 816. कितना आ रहा है लास्ट नंबर? 8940. So we will check. Well, we end up remembering numbers in the ballpark. So raised to 6. So 403 therefore is our raw material expense. मैक्सिमम एक्सपेंस मतलब मेजॉरिटी खर्चा जो है वो रॉ मटेरियल का ही है. ऑल कमोडिटी बिजनेसेस में यही प्रॉब्लम है. देयरफॉर द बिजनेस इज सो मच ड्रिवन बाय द कमोडिटी प्राइस. क्या अगर शुगर केन का ही भाव बढ़ गया तो और sugar price is regulated, so that is a big problem. So if sugarcane price goes up, then the business just goes down. So that is your raw material expense divided by 10 raised to 6 for converting the expense in million rupees. And then others are just as a percentage of sales. I'm going to fix the B column because all the percentages are from column B, and I'm going to fix row number 25 because all my sales are from row number 25. We will increase the sugarcane price by 5%, and here are all your answers. So you can check. Yes. $894 is correct. Here it is 403. वो 5% का increase probably कहीं गड़बड़ हुआ. You must have changed the page in between. तो page का नाम भी आ रहा होगा. Yes, here are the numbers. Any formula you need, let me know. Which year? Which one? Assumption है you have taken sugar price. Sugar cane का लेना. इधर assumption में sugar cane price खाली है. Correct. बराबर ही रहता सगळं. Correct. आता हाँ आता हे ड्रॅग 3000 पर्यंत जाते sugar. राईटला. हाँ is equal to 7.5. Then you press F4 three times. Three times. Once more. That's it. अजून एकदा. अजून एकदा. अजून एक. wait. आणि function F4 three times. One. वापस F4. Once, twice, thrice. That's it. So B च्या आधी पाहिजे डॉलर into नाही annual sales sale total and press function total नाही दोन्हीकडे पाहिजेत लोक आपल्याला. हां wait. Function F4 two times. That's enter. Now you drag this below and to the right. आता सगळे येते खाली आणि ओके. नाही काय तिकडं so sales is coming from row number 25. So you want to fix row number 25. And all these percentages here are coming from column number B. So we are putting dollar before B. So B gets fixed and 25 row gets fixed. Okay. So that is your raw material. Okay. Well, sorry, operating expenses. But apart from that, you need interest, you need depreciation. So let's do the interest, and maybe depreciation onwards we'll probably do in the next class. So first, let's build the debt schedule together, and then you calculate the interest. So now two things are simultaneously happening. Interest जाएगा आपका income statement में, तो वहाँ का एक line item complete हो रहा है. And debt closing की opening, what will go in the balance sheet? क्लोजिंग, तो ये एक बैलेंस शीट का नंबर भी आपका कंप्लीट हो जाएगा। ओके, so therefore this page even though is named as annual expense, ideally it should be expenses and schedule। तो बैलेंस शीट के भी आइटम कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे और इनकम स्टेटमेंट के भी। ओके, ठीक है, सो लेट्स मेक द डेट शेड्यूल। ओपनिंग फॉर करंट ईयर इज क्लोजिंग फॉर लास्ट। ओपनिंग का फॉर्मूला तो कभी भी आपका चेंज नहीं हो रहा है। करंट ईयर ओपनिंग इज ऑलवेज लास्ट ईयर क्लोजिंग। हाउ मच डेट आर वी एडिंग इन द फर्स्ट ईयर? In the assumptions page, we are calculated date added in year 1. Take it from there, 4721. From the assumptions page, we have amount of date added. Okay, closing, opening plus addition minus repayment. हाँ, repayment will happen first, operation शुरू होना चाहिए। So we will build the repayment schedule in a minute. So now you drag the formula. Okay, so once you drag opening and addition, you will see dash dash in the remaining year. Okay, only after dragging closing you will get numbers there. Okay, so आप drag करके number नहीं आया तो don't wait, drag all three and then check the value। So it is showing 842 million of debt for all the year। तीनों फॉर्मूला ड्रैग करने के बाद आंसर मैच करो, उससे पहले मत करो। What is the repayment pattern or repayment term given? So repayment terms given to us are, if you scroll down, you will get here 1 year post COD। COD is commercial operation date। आपका बिजनेस का ऑपरेशन शुरू हो रहा है ईयर 3 ऑनवर्ड्स, उसके एक साल बाद आपका है मोराटोरियम पीरियड। हाउ मच प्रिंसिपल विल वी रिपे इन मोराटोरियम पीरियड? 0। So third year में no principal repayment and post that in 6 equal amounts we will repay the debt। तो ईयर 4 से लेके ईयर 9 तक आप डेट रिपे करोगे इक्वल अमाउंट। टोटल डेट है 6842 divided by 6। Now if this was installment type, then you would have made the installment based amortization schedule, जो कि आपका असाइनमेंट में है। Here we have kept it simple, 1/6 repayment। $19 is from assumption E15। Then opening plus addition minus repayment is closing, और repayment है 140 million such that end of 9th year debt amount is 0। When is the repayment happening? At the end of the year। You calculate the interest and tell me amount of interest in year number 8। That's it। 8th year में आपका इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस कितना आ रहा है ये बताइए। And then probably fixed assets we will do next। Yeah, repayment formula open on screen। Fix total debt divided by 6। रिपेमेंट सिंपल है, 1616 हम रिपे करें। इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस फॉर ईयर नंबर 8 इज, नहीं, बस ब्राउन कलर डाला है उधर तक ही फॉर्मूला खींचना है, कुछ गड़बड़ है। टिल कॉलम एम 9th ईयर, 6 इयर्स में रिपे हो जाएगा। दैट्स इट, करेक्ट। So these things which we are manually fixing, no, these are all formula driven when you are making the company model। उसमें क्या है, आप डेट डालोगे और अकॉर्डिंगली उस डेट पे लोन रिपे हो जाएगा। तो वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो जाता है थोड़ा, मतलब वो डेट से लेके इफ कंडीशन का लॉजिक हर लाइन आइटम में आ जाएगा. So for now the goal is to understand the model, understand the logic, not getting in that if the complex. Yes, interest expense for year number 8 कितना है? Given the assumption that repayment happens at the end of the नहीं, थर्ड ईयर नहीं, इंटरेस्ट तो देना ही पड़ेगा ना आपको. प्रिंसिपल रिपेमेंट फोर्थ ईयर के एंड में हो रही है वो बराबर, लेकिन इंटरेस्ट तो चालू हो ही जाएगा आपका थर्ड ईयर में. मोराटोरियम पीरियड में इंटरेस्ट तो देना ही है, प्रिंसिपल रिपेमेंट में एग्जेम्पशन मिलेगा. 3, yes, नॉट फ्रॉम 1, 3 ऑनवर्ड. 1 एंड 2 का जो इंटरेस्ट है वो ऑलरेडी हमने कैपिटलाइज कर दिया है उधर. वो 95 मिलियन जो पहले आंसर आया था वो. यस, येलो सेल का आंसर क्या है? 8th ईयर. नहीं, नहीं, कम कैसे हो रहा है? ये ओपनिंग पे करे, ओपनिंग पे लेगी क्लोजिंग? दैट इज प्रिसाइसली द क्वेश्चन है. नहीं, कौन से ईयर के लिए आप कह रहे हैं? नहीं, येलो 42 नहीं आ रहा ना, येलो 8th ईयर है. 8th ईयर का आप चेक कीजिए. 28 इज करेक्ट. So should we pay interest on opening date or closing date? Opening date. तो ये डिपेंड होता है कि रीपेमेंट कब हो रही है. फॉर एग्जांपल फोर्थ ईयर में ये 140 मिलियन कब दे रहे हैं, साल के स्टार्ट में कि एंड में? अगर स्टार्ट में दे रहे हैं तो 842 में से 140 निकल के 700 मिलियन हमारे बुक्स पे रहेंगे पूरे साल के लिए, तो उस पे डेट इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा. लेकिन अगर 140 एंड में दे रहे हैं तो इट इज लाइक 842 यू यूज फॉर द एंटायर ईयर, तो इंटरेस्ट विल गेट अक्रूड ऑन द एंटायर ओपनिंग डे. तो ये ओपनिंग क्लोजिंग हमेशा आपको टर्म ऑफ डेट पे देखना पड़ेगा. समटाइम्स यू विल हैव साल के बीच में दे रहे, तो देन यू विल हैव टू डू एवरेज, ओपनिंग क्लोजिंग का एवरेज. तो आंसर वी वर लुकिंग फॉर वाज 28 मिलियन. 42 उसके पिछले साल का था. तो दिस इंटरेस्ट विल अगेन गो बैक इन द इनकम स्टेटमेंट. तो आपका अभी इबिटा हो गया, आय हो गया, डीए बचा है और टैक्स बचा है. तो इनकम स्टेटमेंट मोर और लेस इज डन. बट टैक्स के लिए यू नो दैट वी विल बी मेकिंग दैट टैक्स शेड्यूल, सो दैट इज सेपरेट. तो द नेक्स्ट पार्ट में हम डेप्रिसिएशन ही एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं. So that everything required for the income statement is already done here. But we'll not stop at that in this page, because depreciation will give us fixed assets. We already have the debt. So we'll also estimate equity and working capital, which is what is there below, working capital and equity. So balance sheet के भी सारे item हो जाएंगे. Okay. But let's do that in the next class. So in the next class, if we finish this within time, then last half an hour probably we'll spend on why project financing is important, which is where we'll not make a model, but we'll try to understand कि return generation कितना vary हो सकता है. Done. So let's stop here and let's catch up next week on the same file. I'll share this file completed till here. Done. Students online, any doubts?
No, sir, got it.
Okay, done. So let's catch up next week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.